Return of the Mount Hua Sect. Chapter 139. I need to have this, even if I die. Wei Lipsan gently rubbed his chest. It isn't getting better. He could tell from experience. The trauma his body took would likely haunt him for a long time. It was clear that a full recovery would be nearly impossible. Internal injuries weren't something that could be cured just by visiting a good medical practitioner. The wounds disturb the flow of qi within the body and can only be resolved by the person themselves. However, the wounds Wei Lipsan had suffered were deeper than expected and were tormenting him every day. I want to get better. When Mount Hua's disciples defeated the Wudang disciples, Wei Lipsan felt as though his injuries were washed away. The rush of emotions he had experienced made him forget all pain in his body. However, as the situation settled and he returned to reality, his body slowly began to ache again. Father, have a good night's sleep. Okay. Wei Lipsan responded to his son, who was outside the door. He couldn't allow himself to show any weakness. Wei Lipsan is the sect leader of the Hua Sect. The gate had just emerged from a great crisis, which was a chance for a new start. At this time, if news broke of the sect leader's wounds, then it would cause trouble for the Hua Sect. I cannot let that happen. This is a rare opportunity that they had finally managed to seize. However, if the Hua Sect missed this chance because of him, then he would never be able to rest in peace. Throb. Wei Lipsan grabbed his sides. Ugh. The pain from his internal injuries flared up from time to time, but perhaps because of his complex mood, the intensity had deepened. With a low sigh, he laid down on his bed. News of this event will spread, and the name of the Hua Sect will grow. My actions and how I perform will affect the people's perception of Mount Hua. So he could not allow himself to show his weakness. When the leader loses power, the sect loses power. They had just managed to defeat the Wudang disciples. Wei Lipsan couldn't accept the idea that his lack of strength would cause them to undo everything they had just gained. Taking a deep breath, he grabbed his blanket. I need to sleep. He couldn't get a moment's relief, but he needed sleep. He still had a lot of work to do tomorrow. Life isn't so unfortunate. There was still one wish that Wei Lipsan held close to his heart. He desired to see the day that the Hua Sect rose up, with Wei Soheng taking the helm as sect leader. Until that day, he would give his all to survive. If there was just one other thing he wanted, it was to see Mount Hua's disciples grow and spread the sect's name throughout the world. However, he felt that may be too great of a wish. Wei Lipsan pulled the blanket over himself. It was then. Click. Huh? Sleeping already? Wei Lipsan smiled. Despite the man boldly entering the sect leader's bedroom on his own terms without knocking. I shouldn't hope for anything. It was only a few days, but Wei Lipsan had come to understand this guy's personality. No, he was still trying to figure it out. He was a man that moved at his own pace. What is it, young disciple? Is something wrong? As usual, Wei Lipsan thought Chongmyung was here to ask for something, but the response he received was outside his expectations. It's not me that has something wrong, but the sect leader, right? Chongmyung closed the door and walked inside. Since the urgent matters have become extinguished, I can clean up around here. Clean what? Your internal wounds. They need to be treated. Wei Lipsan's eyes widened. Are you saying that you, young disciple, will treat my internal injuries? Yes. Wei Lipsan looked at Chongmyung with curious eyes. There were only two ways to control and treat internal wounds. The first was to correct the twisted key flow with one's own key. However, Wei Lipsan didn't have the skill to heal himself. The second method was even more difficult. The twisted flow of ki needed to be corrected by utilizing the ki of another person. This method is 10 times more difficult than the first. It made sense after thinking about it. Many warriors devoted their entire lives to overcome the difficulty of learning how to properly control their own ki. Then, how difficult would it be to control their ki through someone else's body? This was why Wei Lipsan did not request a practitioner to heal his internal injuries even after the fight with Wudang had concluded. He believed that Mount Hua might not have a master capable of healing his injuries. He worried that it would make the relationship with Mount Hua awkward if he had carelessly made an impossible request. Yet, this young man said that he could heal Wei Lipsan's internal wounds. "Young disciple, it isn't as easy as you think." "Yes, I know." "If you make a mistake, even the young disciple could receive a severe injury." "Ah, as if I would do that." Seeing the smiling face of Chungmyeong made Wei Lipsan's heart flutter. "No, he doesn't understand what I'm saying." Were his ears blocked? Wei Lipsan coughed loudly and said to Chungmyeong, "Look here, young disciple. I fully understand that your intention is to heal my body, and that alone fills me with gratitude. But this isn't something you can try. If something goes wrong, both you and I could get seriously hurt. It would be better not to try this until the urgent tasks are taken care of." "No way. The longer you leave it alone, the deeper it gets. Something like this leaves a lot of after effects. We need to treat it quickly." "No, you brat. If you make a mistake, I will die, you idiot. Why won't you listen to me?" Wei Lipsan's eyes twitched. "He's called Mount Hua's Divine Dragon. How the hell did this guy get such an exaggerated nickname?" Divine Dragon was too strong of a title for this man. That title is something given to the one responsible for the success of future generations. How moved had Wei Lipsan been when he first heard that the Divine Dragon had been sent to him. But this is the sort of guy that he is. For some reason, that thought brought tears to Wei Lipsan's eyes. Taking a deep breath, he looked at Chungmyeong. "Young disciple, I don't know how to make you understand. I see that you mean well, but some things in this world cannot be achieved with good intentions alone. Thank you sincerely." Wei Lipsan comforted the young disciple to dissuade him from trying it. Contrary to his appearance, he's a good-natured kid. Wei Lipsan began to feel that Chungmyeong wasn't a disciple of Mount Hua for nothing. "You don't seem to understand what's being told to you." "Huh?" Lay down now. I'm a busy person and I have a lot of work to do." "Oh, no, I'm fine." "I'm not fine with it." "Why are you not fine? It's my body. I'll handle it." "Enough. Please leave." At that moment, Chungmyeong reached out and pushed Wei Lipsan. With no time to react, he fell onto the bed, unable to resist. No! Thud. Chungmyeong grabbed Wei Lipsan's hand and began to infuse his ki. Wei Lipsan's eyes opened wide. "Hey, you crazy bastard!" He wanted to scream right away, but he couldn't. He was unable to act at this time. Whether it was the one giving or the one receiving an infusion of ki, it was taboo to speak as it could disturb the exchange of ki. Since Chungmyeong's ki had already begun to enter his body, Wei Lipsan had no choice but to remain quiet and pray to the gods of heaven and earth. However, it felt like the gods had betrayed him too. No, to be precise, the gods were unable to do anything about Chungmyeong either. "Look at this! Look here! It's crazy!" Was he speaking? Did Wei Lipsan just hear something? Was it the words kept in Chongmyung's heart? No way. There was no way that Wei Lipsan had mastered mind reading. Wei Lipsan, as hard as stone, turned to the side and looked at Chongmyung, who calmly grabbed his wrist and frowned. Maybe I just heard wrong. Well, luckily, it isn't completely damaged. Wei Lipsan was wide-eyed. He's talking. Speaking while infusing ki into another person was something that only a master with outstanding achievements could accomplish. Not even the elders of most sects would dare try it, but Chongmyung, a third-class disciple, was doing it. Am I dreaming again? However, the ki entering Wei Lipsan's body was too clear for this to be a dream. The heavy and robust ki continued to flow. It was clean and clear. Chongmyung's ki was clearer than anything Wei Lipsan had ever experienced. If he had to put it into words, it was like pure water flowing through a valley. Water that was so pure, even the ground beneath it could be seen perfectly. A cool yet warm ki continued to flow through Wei Lipsan's body and began to caress the wounded area. Wei Lipsan closed his eyes without realizing it. Hold on for a little longer. It'll be over soon. It felt weird. Wei Lipsan felt more comforted by the ki penetrating his body rather than the words of Chongmyung. The ki of a Taoist. Chongmyung was drenched in the path of Tao, which Wei Lipsan had always admired. This young disciple is truly a disciple of Mount Hua. He could finally feel it. On the surface, it felt ridiculously light, which made Wei Lipsan frown. However, the pure ki that contained the essence of Tao was proof that Chongmyung was truly a disciple of Mount Hua. At that moment, Chongmyung's ki began to swirl around the wounded area and caress the damaged ki flow. A warm ki radiated within the body. Woom! The pain began to vanish and fade away. The pain tormenting Wei Lipsan for a long time was quickly disappearing, and the blocked ki was beginning to flow again. I'll direct it, so move your ki as I say. Wei Lipsan couldn't respond to Chongmyung's words. However, Wei Lipsan faithfully followed his directions and guided the ki as Chongmyung began to circulate. The first point, and then the second point. Wei Lipsan instantly followed the ki flow to 12 different points in the body and analyzed his body again. No more. There was no trace remaining of the internal wounds that had tormented him. With just one stroke, the wounds that he feared would linger for life had been fully healed. Chongmyung's ki escaped from Wei Lipsan's body before he had even had a chance to feel it. As the pure and clean ki returned to Chongmyung, Wei Lipsan was left with a slight sense of regret rather than happiness for his body's recovery. Chongmyung, who had regathered all of his ki, released Wei Lipsan's hand. He slowly opened his eyes to see the young disciple staring back with a serious face unlike before. Young disciple. Mount Hua will remember. Chongmyung, a third-class disciple of the great Mount Hua Sect. Mount Hua's divine dragon. He spoke to Wei Lipsan as if making a declaration. Mount Hua never forgets the grace received. The sect leader's devotion to Mount Hua over the past decade will surely be rewarded. Sect leader, please continue to guard the name of Mount Hua as you've done till now. Then, the Hua Sect's name will resound through the world along with the name of Mount Hua. At that moment, Wei Lipsan couldn't find any of the light-hearted demeanor Chongmyung had shown previously. Overwhelmed by the heavy presence, Wei Lipsan stared at Chongmyung blankly and clenched his fist. Emotions ran deep as tears began to fall. Wei Lipsan licked his lips and opened his mouth with a trembling voice, trying to suppress the tears in his eyes. I will make sure to do that. This was the moment when the Hua Sect declared its resurrection after a long period of hardship.